looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, Sakshi, you're going to kill this. Sakshi, you have done so many workshops. You're going to kill this, right? And that was me uplifting myself. Even when I have no one in my corner, I have myself. Number 2 is mirror work. Everybody has a mirror at the home, right? 10 minutes a day, literally 10 minutes a day, morning, night, evening, afternoon, whenever. Just look at yourself in the mirror and express about anything, just anything. Look at yourself, look at how, your expressions are, how your body moves, how your hands move. Just look at yourself, connect with yourself, watch yourself as you speak, right? Number 3, find your power pose. Power pose is something that is very, very subjective to everybody. Now, what is a power pose, Sakshi? Power pose is something that while you're sitting, it makes you feel confident. Like, for example, the way I'm sitting right now, this is my power pose. My shoulders are a bit straight, right? For you, it may be different. For you, it may be crossing your legs and sitting, right? When you're standing, your power pose is different. The space between your legs. Find your power pose and stand or sit the way that you feel a bit more comfortable. Do it just now, like just straighten your back and sit up. You literally feel your confidence game changing. You can feel it innately. Number 4, practice visualization. This is something that I really did not believe in. I was like, this is all hocus pocus, until I did it. So visualization is something like, I want to see in my head how my presentation is going to go with this particular client, with this stakeholder, with this mentee that I'm meeting, with this mentor that I'm meeting, with this workshop that I'm running. I want to see how it goes, right? In your head, visualize it. Visualize your best self. Visualize putting yourself out there, and it's going to change the whole game, right? Number 5 is learn from self-doubt. I think one of the best advices that I've ever been given by someone in life is every time you doubt yourself, Sakshi, think about what is this self-doubt teaching me? So every time you're anxious to speak up, think about what really are you anxious about? Are you anxious about the fact that people are going to judge you? Are you anxious about the fact that you'll forget your speech? Are you anxious about the fact that you don't look good enough? What is it? What really is the root of your self-doubt? Once you understand the root, once you understand what is that weed, you can cut it off. Self-doubt can be a learning moment. It's a mindset shift, guys. Like legit, I'm telling you, it's a mindset shift. The day you start treating self-doubt as a weapon rather than something that can, overpower you, I think your life is going to change. That is something that it was advice given to me by someone really close, and it's worked like crazy for me. Let's move on. Okay, I think this is stuck. Just a second. I'm not very tech savvy, I think. So forgive me for that. Okay. Can you guys see my screen though?
Yeah, we were able to see it before when you share it. Can you try again?
Yeah. I think there's some kind of error. Worries. We're gonna do that. It's fine. Sometimes technology doesn't work in our favor, but let's go. Share. Can you guys see it now?
Yes, we can. You try the slideshow.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah,
it's working really well.
Yeah.
So 2 secret keys. Like these are like literally like mindset games. I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself. Like what just happened right now, like I kind of made a fool of myself, though it was technology wrecking me, but still, but I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself. I'm like, so what? It's fine, it's a rookie mistake. It's literally a rookie mistake. Number two, I'll go 100% prepared. When you use the techniques that I just gave you, you're going to realize that when you're prepared in your head for whatever is thrown at you, you can literally ace public speaking. So it's okay to make rookie mistakes, right? And you should always go 100% prepared. So these are my two secret nuggets that I wanted to share. Now, elements of good speaking. You just take a look at this, take a look at this pie chart very, very closely. 36% is your voice. 7%, literally 7% is the words. So all the words that I'm saying right now, just 7% of it matters, not the number of words, but the impact. When we talk about impact, words only matter 7%. 57% matters the body language. Isn't that shocking? You spend hours on your speech, hours on your presentation, but you don't spend any time figuring out your body language or figuring out your voice. I mean, this is the whole reason I wanted to share this pie chart with you, because it is eye-opening. It is literally eye-opening. And now I'm going to tell you how to ace these three elements. Let's go. Words. What are words? The 7% of it, right? Storytelling, simplicity of your words, short sentences, using some statistics like I just did in the previous slide, less jargon. Keep it simple, again, just if you use too many fancy words, people might not understand you or follow you, right? Analogies and metaphors. Just analogies are connecting two unrelated things and yet just connect them and make people laugh or make people excited about things. So take a screenshot of this. Remember these sub factors under words, and these are going to help you a lot. Let's get ahead. Your voice. Number two is your voice, your tone. So what is tone, Sakshi? What really is tone? Tone is basically how you say things, right? Your excitement level, the way you compose your words, the way they come out of your mouth. The tone is basically expressions of your words, right? Are you authoritative? Is your tone authoritative? Is it excited? Is it childish? Is it a bit squeaky? So always control your tone. Number two is pauses. Know when to pause. Like I just did. Know when to pause. If you don't use pauses to your benefits, again, you might be running ahead of your audience. Use pauses to your benefit. Calmness. One of the things that I have learned in my life is if you can keep yourself calm in any situation, you're going to be happy about it, no matter what the outcome is, and people are going to appreciate you. When you're speaking to even a small audience, keeping calm, even when questions get thrown at you that you might not be prepared for, is something that people understand. So suppose somebody says something which you're not prepared to hear. They ask a question that you're not prepared to answer. Stay calm, take a deep breath, and inform the person that maybe, you're not, prepared for it. Maybe you need some time to figure out the response. Just keep calm. Emotion. A lot of us try to state facts. A lot of us try to, just, be very, descriptive about this is what it is. This is how it is, If you don't use emotion, people will not relate to you. Be real, be genuine, be raw, show what you're really feeling. Volume modulation. high, low volume. Sometimes you're going to go high, sometimes you're going to go low. The reason I'm sharing these elements with you is because when you look at these slides, in your head, the more you read it, the more you'll understand how important these elements are. And you'll automatically start being conscious of them. You'll automatically start being conscious of your emotion, your pauses, clear pronunciation, right? I think in voice, clear pronunciation is the most important thing. If people don't understand your words as they flow out of your mouth, it's all just lost. It's a lost cause. Let's get ahead. Body language. 56% is body language. Like, that is a lot, honestly, guys. Number one is facial expressions. I'm making so many facial expressions. I'm excited. Sometimes I'm serious. Sometimes I'm a bit, too much pumped up. Sometimes I'm a bit, relaxed. And I'm like, okay, take a chill pill, So facial expressions matter. When you do mirror work, that is the best way to practice your facial expressions. Your appearance, wear good clothes. This is like my favorite top. And I wanted to feel good, so I wore this. Eye contact, look at people. Like I'm looking at my camera right now. I can't see all of you guys, sorry about that. But eye contact, make eye contact with people. If you're talking to a client, make eye contact. If you're talking to a mentee, make eye contact. Hand movements, I'm making these movements, right? Posture, the way you're sitting, the way you stand, space, take up space. Don't be afraid to broaden your shoulders. Don't be afraid to sit up tight. Don't be afraid to, don't lean in or out. Figure out how much space do you need? What is your best posture? And your body movements. Body movements basically come into play when you're offline speaking, I think. When you're on a stage or when you're in a meeting room, that is when your body language matters the most, right? So always keep these elements in your head. Take screenshots when you're, the next time, you're looking at these. Think about these elements very consciously. Think about how you actually behave in terms of each element. Do you control your facial expression? Do you control your hand movements? Do you control your posture? You really have to be aware of this. Is everyone awake? Is everyone awake? I'm literally asking that. Felix, you awake?
Yes, I am. I'm awake. I'm wide awake. Everyone here is as well, I think.
Is awake. That is good. So, because the party is just getting started, right? Becoming a storyteller. This is literally my favorite part. Literally my favorite part. Why do I have to be a storyteller? A lot of people actually have a problem that they are not able to tell stories. This is a legit problem. I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me and been like, Sakshi, how are you able to share so many stories? Today, I'm going to tell you how, right? Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people never will forget how you made them feel. And stories make you feel. Take Harry Potter, for example. If Harry Potter was just words, it's a story, right? If it was, nobody likes reading, businessy things. I do. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you're not telling the story, you're not really making an impact. You're not literally being, remembered. I think you have to, realize this, that the level of impact that stories make is way higher than the level of impact that facts make. So, let's become a storyteller. First things first, storytelling demands vulnerability. If you're not willing to be vulnerable, you won't be able to tell great stories, because you can't fake telling a story. Literally, you can't fake it. Unless it genuinely comes from within you, it won't create an impact. If you don't really feel it, your audience won't feel it too. So keep that in your head. If you're someone who's not very comfortable with being vulnerable, you've got to start thinking about it, about the fact that, I need to be a bit more sharing. right? And I'm going to teach you actually how to be vulnerable. I think, something like a little story that I want to share here is that one of the most tough moments as a speaker in my life was when I forgot a speech on stage. I mean, I literally forgot a speech on stage, and it was one of my favorite speeches. It was an elocution competition, and I forgot. 500 people in the audience, and I stood there numb. Like, it just blanked out. My mind blanked out, and I was just like, what next? What next, Sakshi? And I stood there. I said that I'm sorry. I've forgotten it, and I came back on my seat. And in my farewell speech, I actually shared that story. I actually told people that that was the day I decided that I'm never, ever again gonna mess up, a speech. Never again. It was a really frail moment for me, but I learned. I took that opportunity to learn. And when I shared that story, on my farewell day, people just couldn't stop clapping because I made them feel what it is like to fail at something and emerge out of it, right? So storytelling demands vulnerability, right? But once you are vulnerable, people are just going to be like, they really feel it. They understand you, and you're going to make an impact, right? So we're going to share some best practices with you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Some best practices. So the first one is my favorite. Like it's literally my favorite. Mock TED speech. We all want to someday do a TED speech, a TED talk, right? So my sort of like exercise for you is that pick up a random topic, like the most random topic, and start an impromptu TED speech on it. Like, and like whatever topic you pick up, be it buttons, be it poetry, be it Mother's Day, start telling personal incidents related to it. Take a screenshot of this slide, save it. These practices will help you, right? Just practice mock TED speeches as much as you can. Random topics in the world, when you do those 10-minute daily practices to build up your confidence, use this. Build up a mock TED speech and just start sharing personal incidents that relate to that topic. For example, I said buttons, right? One story that I can tell is that, when I was young, I used to break a lot of buttons of my t-shirt, in my school. And every time I used to come home, my mother would be like, what are you doing? And, it's really stupid. That story doesn't have any meaning literally, but I'm, trying to be vulnerable, right? So mock TED speeches help. Express emotions. This is the hard part. But whenever you practice any kind of speech, any kind of speaking, describe your feelings. Instead of just saying they didn't respond to my call, say things like, I was really disappointed that they didn't respond to my call. Instead of saying that, I couldn't make it to the party, say something like, I'm kind of heartbroken that I did not make it to the party. Express what you are feeling, right? When you start doing that, you immediately, become a storyteller. Be a bit vulnerable, bit by bit, day by day, we go there. Intentional speaking. This is something that is like, I love the concept of intentional speaking. Anything you do in life has to be intentional, right? So before you're speaking, actually, in your head, decide what do you want people to take away and what do you want them to feel, right? For example, for this workshop, my goal is I want people to be feeling uplifted and feeling like, hey, I'm gonna kill it, right? So once you decide your intention, it becomes very easy to develop clarity in your message, to develop clarity in your stories, right? So be intentional about your speaking. Journal daily. Again, one of the hacks that I still do, write descriptively and very emotionally about things. If you're not a writing person, send yourself voice notes. Again, it's a hack that works. you're speaking out loud as well, and you're practicing storytelling. So these are like 4 really simple practices that might just take, I don't know, about 5 to 6 minutes every day. But once you do them, they can change the kind of speaker you are. We're not done yet. Everybody wait. By the way, I love this Jiffy and I had to use it, Here are 2 things to never forget in storytelling. Like, never ever forget. Make people laugh. I mean, life is hard, guys. Like, let's accept this, right? Life is hard, so make people laugh. Take inspiration from Ellen. Ellen just makes people laugh like crazy. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, like, Sakshi, if I'm presenting to my client, or if I am, in a workspace setting, how do I make like serious stakeholders laugh? Why would I do that? Because they're human too. I'm not asking you to crack, bad jokes or, something like, that is not suiting the setting. But, insert, just sprinkle a bit of that humanness in your, speaking. Say something really funny. Just take a personal incident that your dad said, your mom said, or your friend said, and sprinkle it over. And the second is, brevity is a speaker's best friend, right? I mean, I wouldn't want someone to be sleeping. That's why I literally asked, who is sleeping, right? I don't want you guys to be sleeping. So if you're sleeping, wake up. Brevity is your best friend. Try to keep things short and sweet. Unless you really have to take a lot of time, think about how can you make a bigger impact in a shorter time span, right? So these 2 things, I don't think you should ever be forgetting. Let's get ahead. Final round. I think we've blown past this. Like, how is everybody feeling? I mean, I am feeling pumped. I'm excited to be doing this. For the final round, I want to bring you some tips and techniques that are going to help you, like I said, level up your speaking game, right? So, number 1 is everything you read, like literally everything that you read, try reading it out loud. Like, would you guys believe that I'm a marketer, right? So I read marketing blogs. I read blogs from, Hootsuite and all of these, big brands. And I read them out loud with expressions as if I'm giving a speech. Like literally, those words are not even full of expressions, but I try to give them expressions. The reason this hack works is because the more you do it, the more you understand how the structure of words flow from your mouth. That is something very important. Speaking is a lot about being aware of things, right? Being aware of how are you saying, what are you saying, and what is the next thing that you should be saying, right? So once you start reading like everything that you come across, right? Be it a poster, be it a tiny banner, an infographic, a blog, a newsletter. What happens is that in your head, you're building connections that will help you, put things one by one by one. So I think you should start, like, it's a very simple practice that I still do. Just try reading out loud everything that you read, right? Read fiction as much as you can. I'm all in for nonfiction stuff, but fiction teaches you emotions. Fiction teaches you how emotions flow, right? It makes you sad, it makes you feel nice, it makes you feel excited, it makes you feel, a bit too low. Then it gives you hope, right? And when you capture those emotions, when you start understanding how emotions actually flow, you become a better speaker. I think you become a better person too, and you become so much better at storytelling. Like, this is one hack that I personally feel that has helped me speak the way I speak today, right? Record yourself while speaking. If you're very conscious about how you show up, or how you're presenting yourself, record yourself while speaking, right? Sit in front of your mobile or laptop, record it, and send it to people for feedback. It could be any random thing. It could be you reading a book, right? Send it to other people and ask for their feedback. Feedback is powerful, guys. I clearly remember this, that when my first podcast came out, I shared the link to a friend and I was like, I want you to find everything that I've done wrong in this podcast, everything that I've messed up. And he came back to me and said that you say a lot. Sometimes you pause unnecessarily, right? So I think that when you get feedback, you understand where there is room for improvement. So record yourself while speaking and send it to a group of friends and ask them, what are they liking about it? What are they disliking about it? Is it leaving an impact on them of some kind, right? It's helpful. Watch good speeches and try emulating them. I can't tell you guys how many times I have watched Matthew McConaughey's speech, the Oscar speech, and there's a Notion resource that Felix is going to share with you. I've made that for you guys with a lot of love. It has a lot of helpful speeches and links to TED Talks that are going to help you become a better speaker. So watch good speeches and try emulating, imitating them. Once you start doing that, it becomes very helpful to understand how, just things flow when you're speaking. I mean, I remember this when I started practicing Matthew's speech. While I was imitating him, I figured out a lot about how my words make other people feel. When you're public speaking, you have to always be conscious about what are my words making the person in front of me feel. It's 76 of you right now, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I am so aware of my speaking that I know it, how you must be feeling on listening to my words. To get you to that, you need to start listening to good speeches, start emulating them, start practicing them, right? Just listen to those people and see the kinds of emotions they are evoking in you. Once you start figuring that out, it becomes very, very, very easy to understand, how to be more relatable when you're speaking, right? The last and my most favorite part, give 10 minutes to preparation. No matter what kind of public speaking are you doing, no matter what kind of speaking are you doing, whether you're presenting in front of your family, whether you're presenting a workshop, whether you're mentoring, whether you're putting forward a proposal in front of your team, give yourself 10 minutes to calm down. Give yourself that space. Give yourself some breather to relax, empty your mind, deep breaths, do some breath work, dance a bit. I literally have a playlist in my mobile which says, preparation list. And I just listen to it. It has all these amazing rap songs and I just groove to it. It helps me relax myself. Find out what helps you relax. Once you do that, you'll understand that how important it is to just calm yourself down and, be in total control, because preparation is key. A lot of the anxiety arises because of the fact that you're not prepared. So I want you guys to always go in prepared, no matter what it is about, right? Even if you're going on a date, I want you to be prepared. Take 10 minutes, spend that time, do some positive self-talk, visualize things. Be like, I'm going to go from here to here. See it, believe it. It sounds very fancy right now. It might sound very fancy to you guys right now and be like, oh, she's just speaking, but trust me on this. Just try it once. Try it once, twice, thrice. And for my final thing today, I want to share something with you guys, and that is, it is okay to be afraid. A lot of people will tell you, hey, just get over your fear. Just get over it and go ahead and do it. It is okay to be afraid, when you're going to do public speaking, whether it's in front of 2 people, whether in front of 200 people or 2,000 or 200,000. It is okay to be afraid, to be nervous, to think about bad things happening. But what you have to remember is that don't self-reject. Don't self-reject yourself by thinking that just because you're afraid a bit or a lot, things are not going to go out in your favor. Give yourself that chance. Give yourself the chance to actually do that public speaking, to cross that threshold. Just believe me on this. And even if you are afraid, take all of that fear that is within you, and put that foot forward and just be like, I'm going to do this, even when you're afraid. And, once you put yourself out there, what you realize is that if you're enjoying, nothing really matters, right? If people are relating to you, nothing really matters. If people are getting impacted by you, nothing really matters. So be in your own comfort, It's okay to be afraid, but don't self-reject yourself. Don't be like, just because I'm afraid, I'm not going to do this. Go ahead anyways, right? Don't chuck that fear. Be with that fear and be like, I'm going to take this fear and I'm going to use it. I'm going to prove this fear wrong. Have that kind of adventurous mindset. And with that, you guys, my beautiful presentation has come to an end. Thank you for being here. The ball's in your court now. And if you have learned anything, if you've taken something valuable away today, I want you guys to share that out in a tweet, share that out on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you want. Tag Felix, ADPList, tag me. If you have questions, shoot me a DM on Twitter, Sakshi Shukla. You can reach out anytime you want. I'm so grateful that you were here today, and I hope that this was valuable. Hey, Felix.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sakshi. That was simply amazing. So in terms of, what we're going to do next, we're going to dive into Q&A. I'm sure everyone is like, all ready to learn, dive in as well. So we're going to go into the Q&A right after this, right now. So all of you are going to get a link on the chat, and you can now go into Slido, and we'll be presenting some questions from the crowd actually. So let me just share my screen right now.
I'm so excited to be answering you guys. Yep.
Very exciting. So as what Sakshi has mentioned, so all of you can, share your learnings in public. That's what really, help you to build your personal brand as, as a speaker, as someone who is learning, enthusiastic as well. Always be vulnerable. So share your learnings on public. In public, tag us, we help retweet, we'll comment any questions as well. So with that said, let's dive into the Q&A from the community here. All right, so Sakshi, we have the one most popular question with 4 votes here, which is, how do you interact in a situation where you are very eager to express yourself, but the other person is not interested at all?
Okay, that is an amazing question to whoever asked this. I think the first thing that you have to do is understand why the person is not interested. Are you talking about something that the person doesn't really care about, right? So you might be talking about A, but the other person might be interested in B, right? So a good rule of public speaking is to always think in your head, what does my audience care about? Like, what does my audience really care about, right? Whether it's, whoever it is in front of you, right? Like I said, you have to be relatable a bit. So if you have any knowledge of the person, I'm considering that if you have any knowledge of who the person is, right, that you're speaking to or you're speaking with, just figure out why they are not really interested, because it might be that, that they don't really care about that particular thing, right? So they might actually be the wrong person to be talking about that, right? And if another hack that I want to share is that if they don't seem really interested in what you're saying, figure out something that they are interested in. Do a little bit of research maybe, or just ask them interesting questions, and use those questions to sort of tweak it in a way, tweak their answer in a way where you can connect it to what you want to say, right? I think this is a really smart leadership advice that I have learned from one of my clients. Because sometimes it really happens that what you're really saying, the other person doesn't, give like really a shit about that. But that is fine. That will happen. So they might be the wrong person, or figure out what they care about. Once you figure out what they care about, maybe ask some, questions. I think some questions that you can ask the person is like, hey, I want to understand that. What are your thoughts on this? On XYZ topic, right? If I understand correctly, this is what you think about this. If I'm understanding, you're not really interested about this, or am I just assuming? Find out some ways to share your thoughts with that person. So I hope this gives some clarity and some value. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sakshi, for that. So we're going to move
Yeah.
on to the next question is how to answer questions you don't have the answer to. Are there better ways to handle it?
Yes, there are so many better ways to handle it. Number one is take a deep breath. Realize, like I said, calmness. Realize that you don't know the answer to this, right? Come back to the person and be like, hey, I don't really have a response to this right now. Maybe if you give me some time, I can come back with a better answer, right? Another thing that you can say is that, hey, could you elaborate a bit more on your question? That would help me understand, where you are coming from, and I can prepare a better answer, or I can give a better answer to that, right? Sometimes it is that the question is very abstract that is thrown your way, right? Or that is asked to you. So if you ask for a little bit information on that question, you might actually find something that, helps you answer the asked question. So I think one of the other ways that I sometimes handle is that, I take my time. I'm like, sometimes it's okay to say that, you don't know the answer to this, but I get it that it might be a tough spot to be in. So another hack that I want to give you guys is this particularly happens in like meetings, and it has happened to me as well. So when you're actually going into a meeting, right, start preparing like a list of 6 to 7, 10 questions what might be asked to you in that meeting, right? When you prepare beforehand for those questions, you're better equipped to answer, right? So think about what might be the questions that might arise in people, right? What might be some, how do I say it, apprehensions that they might have, right? And they might express it. So when you are sort of pre-guessing it, in a way you are prepared, right? That would help you deal with it much, much better, all right? But always remember, it is okay to mess up. If you don't know the answer, it is okay to say that, hey, I really don't know the answer to this, right? Even when the person has elaborated, you still can't figure out an answer. So, just go ahead and say that. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that, Sakshi. And just to add on a little bit, if you don't know the answer, always tell that you don't know the answer, and say that you'll come back to them later on, right? Don't make up an answer. That's one of the things. Don't ever make up an answer if you don't have it.
That is a great point, Felix. Thank you for that.
Move on. How do you stop saying right? I just said right. So
yeah.
How do you stop saying I think it's a natural tendency for people to say that. How do you practice to avoid that, Sakshi?
Yeah, I think so. I told you guys, right, that one person, like my friend, came back to me and said that I say a lot, and actually I also say a lot. Like if you're listening to this right now, you guys must be realizing that I do say a lot sometimes, right? Sometimes it just comes up, when you're a bit nervous or something like that. I think one of the things that is helping me that I'm practicing right now is the voice note thing. I said just again, and I'm aware of it. That is the place where you have to get to. So the voice note thing, the recording myself, putting myself out there, asking people, telling them that, hey, I say this a lot and I want you to correct me. Once you start doing this, once you start being aware of how much you say it or how many times you say it, right, you will realize how to control it better. So I think with I have kind of like gotten over it a bit, but I'm still working on it. I try to be more aware of it. I said again, but yeah, just be more aware of it, and
Yep.
again, So I think it's fine. I think Felix, isn't it fine a bit if we
It
do
is.
that?
It is.
It is.
Keep calling yourself out, right? Keep
Yeah.
calling yourself out. Be okay with people calling you out. And one of the hacks that I learned actually, because I do quite a number of public speaking these days and video recording as well, to the extent, is that there's this hack where I learned from TikTok. Surprisingly, TikTok is where you find the best knowledge. Surprisingly these days, and they say that record a video of yourself speaking, and after the video, turn off the video itself and just listen to the audio. Just listen to the audio without the video. And next, mute the audio and just listen to your hand gesture, your body language. So meaning that, on one version, you're listening to yourself speak. And on the other version, you're just observing your, natural behavior or your body language in that sense. And be very self-conscious of that. Then practice again. See what you like, see what you don't. Then practice on and on, repeat this. And I find that extremely helpful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think somebody in the chats just called me out and was like, you said 10 times. Thank you for that. I am aware of it, but I think it's okay to make that mistake. I don't think it's really a mistake per se, because, like I said, again, right? So it happens. It's in you, but once you start being aware of it, you're gradually going to get over it. So, yeah.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question, which is any tips on not being self-conscious while we are speaking?
Yeah, I think that is a great question, because we tend to live in our heads a lot. So one of the hacks that has helped me, which I shared with you guys, is that stop taking yourself very seriously and stop being afraid of making a fool out of yourself, because that is literally a mindset shift. When you in your head are like, it's okay to mess up a bit, it's a rookie mistake, it's okay to say a lot, or say a lot, or whatever you say a lot, right? It's okay to be bad at things, to actually be good at things. So instead of being very, very afraid of how you are being perceived, in your initial days of speaking, you have to focus more on how are you really speaking, and be focused more on the craft and less on just how people might be thinking about you, or people might be perceiving you, or maybe the way you're coming off. Are you coming off confident? Are you coming off stressed? That comes later a bit. You have to be more focused on how is my craft really. And just another hack is just have fun. When you go and do something with the mindset of having fun, it becomes, a million times easy to do something. So personally, that is my hack. And self-consciousness, I think mirror work helps a lot with that as well. When you are aware of how you really look or how you really feel or say things out loud, it is okay. And yeah, I think Allison is saying you're more critical on yourself. That is actually very, very true. You might actually just be in your head too much when people really think you're acing it. So don't be in your head too much, please. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to take this moment to, highlight that, I just keep saying, and I'm being
It's
very
fine,
self-conscious as
Felix.
well right now. We are just all being so self-conscious on this chat and I'm loving it. So just before we move on to the next questions, just giving Sakshi a shout out, let's just share our learnings publicly, share what you have been learning today, this morning, this evening. I know it's a lot of, posture adjusting, because when Sakshi was speaking and she was talking about posture adjusting, I sort of put a question there and said, who's adjusting your posture right now? And everyone was like, oh, I'm adjusting my posture, got caught out. And now we're all being self-conscious about saying, whatever. And so, share what you've been learning, online and share with everyone. So yeah. Okay,
Yep.
Let's move on. How do you overcome stage fright or stage fear in this case?
The dreaded question has arrived, Felix. I think this is like the most, I knew this was gonna come. I had guessed that this is gonna come. Okay, so stage fright is normal. That is the first thing I want to say. Like I said in the end, it is okay to be afraid. Realize that it is literally okay to be afraid, right? Positive self-talk, visualization, and calming yourself down are the three things that will help you overcome stage fear. Another practice is do it more often. Now, I know this sounds like kind of counterintuitive, but put yourself in an uncomfortable spot more often. The reason I'm saying this is because unless you really put yourself out there, you're not going to get over it. Like, it's a fact. You're not going to get over it, right? If I had not messed up that speech, I would have never realized that this is where I really need to improve, right? And like, because I'm sharing everything so openly with you guys, I want to share this with you as well, that there was this one particular debate that I was a part of, and it got a bit heated. I think I kind of was not in the my best self, or I don't know what happened, but I just felt very conscious of myself, and I got kind of like stage fright. I had the points written in front of me, short boxes, and I was just like, I'm not ready for this. I might mess this up. And I took some deep breaths, and I was like, Sakshi, it is okay that you're feeling this, but let's go ahead and do this. Because if I don't do this today, I'm letting my stage fear win. I'm letting it win. I'm letting my fear win instead of myself winning. So put yourself out there. Start doing that from today. Start mentoring people. Start meeting mentors. We have ADPList. That is like the best way to put yourself out there while learning. Yes, while learning, that is the best way to put yourself out there. Start joining Twitter Spaces, right? It's not that much stage fear, but that is in a way, fright of speaking in front of people, right? Start joining Twitter Spaces. Start joining a lot of workshops and open your camera. Like, I see a lot of you have not opened your camera. That is because in a way in your head, you're like, hey, I'm not prepared for this or anything else, right? But open your camera, show yourself, right? Don't be like, oh, I'll do it next time. Do it today, right? Show up. So I think those are some ways in my head to get over your stage fear.
Yeah.
And always, have this in your head that I'm here to have fun. Like I said, if you do things for fun, it's always going to get easy. Yeah, Felix, on to you.
Yeah, and also, when you ask question, don't put anonymous. Put your names there. It's a question.
Yeah.
Be proud of your question. They are good questions. Any question is a good question. All right. And one thing that I want to say about stage fear, this was one of the best advice that I received. I believe it's also from TikTok. I don't know, maybe like a week
You're
or two
a TikTok
ago.
guy now.
I'm a TikTok guy these days. All right, because the team, ADPList team, is thinking about TikTok. So I've been trying to learn a little bit more on that. But there's this video actually was particularly impactful to me, that they say that the world cares about you more than you think they would like to. So meaning that everyone is actually here, everyone is actually present because they care about themselves more than what they care about you, right? How you present yourself and all those kind of things. And actually, I think that's a really good advice, because that means that if you focus on yourself, if you feel like there's no audience, you're just speaking to yourself, you could be confident. You could be confident if you tell yourself that. And also, one thing that I like to do is just zone out and just really imagine that there's no one there. Just speak whatever that I want, right? And at the end of the day, you make mistakes, you get judged, you learn from there. So yeah, always be very open with that. Have an open mind to just go with it.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to share on this note is that nobody really remembers your mistake. Like after even 6 months later, they won't remember it. They won't remember that you messed up. It's just you who's gonna remember it. So if nobody really cares that much, it's okay to, make mistakes and let things go. I think that is how I like to look at it, Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next question. How can I deal with a person that takes everything personally in a work environment? Oh my God. Oh, I mean, this is
Felix,
okay.
I'm gonna put this on you.
Okay, sure. Well, I deal with a lot of people in my career, and I would tell you that I work with many people as well. And I think that everyone has different frequency. Everyone has different frequency of communication. In the Western side of the world, where I'm at right now, but not born and raised here, what I've learned in the Western side of the world is that it's very not hierarchical, meaning that someone could be a VP, someone could be a senior VP, but the way that you communicate is not hierarchical at all. It could just be straight up to the point. In Asia, in the Eastern side of the world, we are all very hierarchical. If someone is like of a senior level, older, so on and so forth, the way you speak to them has to be more respectful, has to be more tactful, has to be a little bit more covered up, as compared to direct. And so I think it depends on the context. It depends on the people that you're speaking to. But I like to think that in most cases, you have to adjust your frequency. You cannot bring the same frequency as you will to everyone. If you want to be truly a good communicator, a good leader, you have to go into every meeting room with a mindset that everyone communicates differently. And I like to go into a meeting room and have this mindset that everyone has something going on in their life. Actually, I think this has helped me a lot, is that everyone has something right now that is going on in their life. And I don't know that. So I am very always trying to be empathetic and careful whenever I speak to them. Because I have this mindset that when I walk into a room and I speak to someone, they have something ongoing on their lives that I don't know about. So when you have that mindset, it actually creates empathy. It helps you go into a room and try to understand the person a lot more than just trying to get your point across. So that's how I deal with situations where people take things personally. I try to go into the room and have that mindset of empathy and then speak to them from that angle.
Yeah, yeah, Felix, I think that is a wonderful thing to, speak to people with empathy, think about where they are coming from. Another aspect that I want to share on this note is that always say things with context. The reason someone might be taking things personally is because you're not giving them enough context. A really great example of this is instead of okay, so someone came up to me and was like, Sakshi, I don't like the way you've written this, right? Now, I might take that personally, right? Because I have worked hard for it. But if that same person comes up to me and says, I know that you worked hard for it, for this, these are the parts of it that are really great, but I think this is not aligning with what I'm trying to do. So saying things with context and saying things with meaning actually impacts a lot on how your message is perceived in the work environment. And if so the first point is correcting yourself, right? You might be saying things without context. That is the first part. The second part is might be that person takes everything personally. Maybe it's their character. Maybe they might be a bit self-conscious. Maybe they have early on received some kind of feedback that, they're, XYZ, they're bad at XYZ thing, and it's in their head. So now everything that, is said to them, they take it personally, right? So I would very highly recommend sitting down with that person and explaining where you are coming from. Number one, it helps you rebuild the relationship with that person. And number two, you are relieved of this thing that, this person will take everything personally that I say, right? So having a conversation, I think, is the most helpful thing that you can do.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Sakshi.
Yeah.
So next question. What role does accent play in speaking? Sometimes I've seen people faking their natural accent. Does this improve confidence? Please don't misunderstand. Such a funny question. Go
that
for
is
it.
a funny question. Felix, do you want to answer or should I?
No, you go for it. Sakshi.
Yeah, I think that since this question is very oriented towards the other people, what I would say is that I really haven't met anyone who like fakes accent per se. So I'm not sure like what kind of faking you're talking about. But I think if other person feels comfortable in that, I think we should just let them be, right? If their message is creating an impact on you, or if what they're saying means something to you, then it's fine, right? Because if you are comfortable with faking an accent, if that makes you confidence, it's fine. But you got to be really good at it so that people don't understand, right? But I think it's okay to accept your own accent, the way you speak, right? And I think as you speak a lot more, you speak to a lot of different people. I mean, I think I've spoken to people from so many different parts of the world, from my side of the world, from the eastern side of the world, to Australia, to Canada, to US, UK. It's just that I learn a lot from them, the way they say things. And I think as you start speaking a lot more, you develop your own accent. Every good speaker has their own style and accent in a way. I like to call it vibe. But like my vibe is different from Felix's vibe, right? Your vibe might be very different. So I think that the more you speak, the more you develop your own speaker brand. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Sakshi. So let's move on to the next question. I always practice to the last minute in my head. It makes me not able to pay attention to any presentation before me. Is there any way to improve it? Okay, I have a very simple answer to this. Sakshi, if you agree, we can move on. Don't practice the last minute then. Set aside a schedule and practice even before that, so that you can concentrate on the presentation before of you. I mean, it's a simple solution, really. Just practice before that. Don't do it last minute.
Yes, I think that is a very simple answer, to be honest. But I think you might be doing this because in your head, you're afraid of messing up, right? But what you have to realize is that give yourself some space to breathe, right? Practice some breathing formats, practice some last minute energizing activities, like I said, like I dance, right? For some people, it might be breath work. For some people, it might be a bit of stretching. For some people, it might be dressing up, right? Like I like to spend at least 5 minutes in front of the mirror, just fixing my face, my hair. It helps me feel better. And it also takes my time. It takes my head away from the presentation that I'm about to do. So these are some ways that you can practice. Yeah.
Awesome.
These are some great questions, Felix. I mean, I am like amazing questions. Yeah.
I'm actually quite stunned by the question. It's actually pretty good. Okay, next question. I struggle to think when I do public speaking more often than not, trying to stay to the script that I've prepared. Do you have any advice to overcome that?
I think this is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant question. Personally, I have trained myself a lot for this, you know, how to understand my train of thought. So, like, you have something in front of you. You've prepared a presentation, you've prepared a speech, you've prepared notes, right? So I would like you to, number one, when you do mirror work or when you do other form of practices that I have shared with you, try to be present in the moment. That is the first thing. If you're too much in your head and if you're caring too much about how other people are perceiving you, you will actually start thinking a lot of different things in your head, right? Your mind will go here, your mind will go there, right? So when you're practicing mirror work, one of the best ways to actually do that is to think that you're teaching someone, right? So pick up a book, any book, right? And think that you're teaching people. What this does is when you're teaching, you actually have to give a lot of analogies and stuff, right? So in a way, you will start controlling your thinking, right? And you will stick to the script. So this is something that has helped me incredibly, trying to, you know, behave as if you're teaching someone, and you control your train of thought better, and you can also stick to the script, right? So I think this is one hack that I would say. And instead of being very self-conscious, just try being in the moment. Try grounding yourself. I think that is something that you have to do inside your head. But just be like, you know, I'm going to be very focused on what I have written, you know, and less focused about how I'm being perceived and all of that. Especially if you're a newbie, because once you start practicing speaking a lot, after a particular point, there will come a stage when you will get so much better at doing things side by side. You'll start thinking at the same time as well as while being aware of how you're speaking. So you have to just give yourself that time and take it step by step. I really hope that answered. Yeah.
Awesome. That was a very good answer. And we have like a couple more questions, but Sakshi, can we make this the final question? Is that good?
Yeah.
Yep.
What other questions do we have? I want to answer the best one.
I think there's quite a bit that has 1 or 2 votes only. So maybe I just scroll through.
Yeah, can you share some insights on structure?
What if we don't connect? Let's see.
Okay.
The top
Felix,
rated one is the top rated
Yeah.
one. Let me just cancel these strategies. Okay, I will pick one for you, Sakshi.
Yes.
All right. So insights of structure. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. This is a good question. I think this is a good question.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the context of why I think this is a good question. Is because a lot of people tend to go on and on for a very long time in terms of the point I'm trying to bring across. So this is a good question because I think a lot of people need to learn this. Question is, I find myself rambling off a topic, telling a story on and on and on, speaking too long on a topic. How do I make it concise and brevity?
Yeah. I think you've chosen a really good question. Thanks for that. So the way to do this is, I think you have to start being very aware that other people's time is valuable. Another really good hack that has helped me, I think I tend to ramble a lot as well. I used to do that because sometimes when you're telling a story, you try to stretch it, you try to put a lot of details into it, tell it how it happened, right? So my advice to you would be, and how I really practiced was that when I'm practicing mirror work or when I am, journaling, I try to restrict myself to certain words, right? When you write better, you speak better and you think better. So one of my best advices or suggestions to you would be start journaling a bit and start giving yourself these tiny, tiny challenges that I'm going to finish a particular story about a particular topic in just 3 minutes. Then give yourself another challenge that I'm going to tell that same story in 2 minutes. Give yourself another challenge that I'm going to finish the same story in 1 minute. And then listen to how you did it, right? And I think it's a really great hack because I think 2 to 3 times I've been told that, Sakshi, you tend to like go on a bit too long. You take your time. You're very descriptive. You're very expressive, right? And while I maybe think that hey, I'm such an amazing speaker, I'm telling a story, other people are sleeping, right? So start giving yourself some sort of challenges of cutting things down, and it is going to help you figure out how to start making things concise and how to, just be more relatable, say more while actually taking less time.
Sounds good. Thanks for that, Sakshi.
Okay.
Just to also just wrap up on that side, it's funny story, personal stories that I once went into an investor meeting and he asked a question and I just went on and I was speaking really fast and he said, "Stop, Felix." He was the first guy who stopped me halfway through answering a question and he said, "Stop, Felix. I know you're smart, but you would sound smarter if you speak slowly and you get to the point." And I was like,
yeah.
He just called me out. Can you believe it? And you're like an investor. So, sometimes you just got to learn on the spot. All right. So
yeah.
With that said, thank you so much, Sakshi, for the amazing session. And for everyone, Sakshi and I would love to have all of you share your learnings in public, share with us what you have learned about today on Twitter. And if you enjoyed today's session, please show us some love on Twitter as well. We always appreciate that. And we will respond to everyone's tweet.
We will. I would love to hear from you guys. If you hated anything, if you loved anything, if you were just like ew at something, feedback, right?
Yes.
I think I would love to listen to your feedback. Go ahead, Felix.
Sounds good. Yeah, and so thank you all so much, and especially thank you, Sakshi, for co-hosting this session together. Let's do more of this. I'm super excited, super pumped. This recording will be going out within the next 3 days. I'll be uploading it on our official YouTube channel, so follow us there. Follow me and Sakshi on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. We post a lot there, so you could see how all of this goes. And I'll also be sending the resource, the Notion file resource that Sakshi had sent right after this. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Sakshi, especially for being here today with me. And hope everyone have a good weekend ahead. Yeah,
I'm really, really grateful for everybody who made time, and go enjoy your Sunday, everyone. For those of you who are going to sleep now, have a great sleep and wake up energized. I hope that you've made a lot of points today, that you've learned something. And always, you can reach out to me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I always answer your questions. If you have anything that you couldn't, question here, put forward here, feel free to shoot me a DM and I will get back to you. Follow us, give us a shout out. Some Twitter love would be really helpful. And thank you for being here, and take care of yourselves.
Okay, thank you all so much. Have a good one. See y'all. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.